Alright guys, today we're going to be thinking about how readers notice how a character resolves big trouble. So when I think about how a character solves big trouble in a story, it kind of makes me think about The Wizard of Oz and the characters from that story. So in The Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow desperately wants a brain, and the Tin Man desperately wants a huge heart, the Lion wants courage, and Dorothy, of course, wants to go back home. But the thing about these characters is that they already had what they were seeking for in the story. The Scarecrow had a shrewd brain, the Tin Man had a huge heart, the Lion had great courage, and Dorothy already had what it took to return home. But each one of them needed to go on this long journey to discover his or her strengths. So that's true of characters in all stories as well. It's often this way for characters in stories, and many times characters have what it takes to resolve their own problems, and they draw on inner strengths that they may not have known they had to resolve what's been troubling them most. So today I want to teach you that as a story comes to a close, the main character resolves his or her biggest problems. Readers notice this and ask, what strength did this character draw on to solve this problem? And also, how has the character changed? You can kind of see in the illustration on the screen that this is from Peter's chair. So we kind of want to think, how was Peter at the beginning of the story and how is he different at the end of the story? So that's what we're going to focus on today. So let's think about Opal for a few minutes. We're not quite to a resolution in our story yet, and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow as we read a little bit further and we see a resolution. So we know that right now we're kind of like at the climax, the tip of our story mountain, and then that resolution is going to be coming soon, right after that climax. So we want to go ahead and start thinking, what strength is Opal drawing on to help resolve the problem of Winn-Dixie going missing? And we noticed that there's an even bigger problem here, though. This isn't just about her possibly losing Winn-Dixie, but it's also about the struggle she's faced with not having her mother throughout the story. So when we think about the strength that Opal is drawing on, we notice throughout the story that Opal is so courageous. She has great courage to ask her dad about her mom, even though she's scared about it. She had courage to make new friends in this new town that she's in. So we can kind of see that she's had courage all along, and this is something that she's going to draw on to help her resolve this problem in the story. Another strength that she's had is her big-heartedness, and she'll also be able to draw on her big-heartedness and her kindness to be able to help her resolve the problem in the story as well. And we'll see this more as we see the resolution when we talk and read further tomorrow. We also want to think, how has Opal changed as our story is coming to a close? Well, we've noticed at the beginning of the story, Opal was very lonely, and she talked about that. So we can kind of see now she's not as lonely. She has this whole party full of new friends that she's made that are waiting on her. And she's made a lot of new friends, including Gloria Dump and Miss Franny Block and Sweetie Pie Thomas and, of course, Winn-Dixie. She's starting to become more friendly with the Dewberry Boys and Amanda Wilkinson and Otis. We also see that she's become stronger and she's able to let her mom go more so than she was in the beginning of the story. So we can see that Opal's changed a lot from the girl that we met at the beginning of the story. So now I want you guys to try this. I want you to think, what strength has the character in your book been drawing on to resolve the problem? Did they have courage, like Opal, that they're going to be able to use to help them resolve the problem? Did they have a big heart or have kindness like Opal had that might help them resolve the problem? And also, I want you to think, how has the character in your book changed? So we talked about how Opal has changed. She's made new friends. She's become stronger in the book. So talk about these two questions with your book club for just a few minutes and see if you can come up with some ideas about the strengths that your character is drawing on to resolve their problem, and then how has your character changed in the book. So take a few minutes to turn and talk. Okay, so let's come back together. I don't want this to be the end of your conversation about these questions. I want you to continue thinking about these two things today. What strengths is your character drawing on to resolve their problem, and how has your character changed from the beginning of your book to where you are in your book now? So as you read today, I want you to think, how has this character grown since the start of his or her journey? And I want you to jot your thoughts down in your reading notebook or on a sticky note and be ready to share them with your book club at share time today. And be ready to bring those things back to talk about with your book club.